Happy Tuesday, freshmen. Hope you guys are doing well today. I'm just going to review a little bit of the relative pronouns with you, and then we're going to get into our translation station. So it's going to be a good time. So relative pronouns, remember, is going to be this new word, qui, qui, quod. Okay, it's going to be an important chart to make sure that you are well familiar with it. Qui, qui, quod, quius, 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 qui, quem, quam, quod, quo, qua, quo, qui, qui, quorum, 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 quibus, 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 quos, quas, qui, quibus, quibus, quibus. Okay, so make sure you know that chart really well. It's an important one and very common as well. What a relative pronoun does is it introduces a relative clause, okay? And a relative clause, as I mentioned earlier, is a subordinate clause, meaning it can't be like your main clause. And it functions like a big adjective, okay? So whatever the pronoun is referring back to, the relative clause is going to be telling you more about that, that noun. Okay, and there's another term you need to know with relative pronouns, okay, and that term is the word antecedent, okay, and this doesn't strictly apply to relative pronouns, can apply to other pronouns as well, but the antecedent is the noun that the pronoun is referring back to, or I think the way I learned it when I was in school back in the day, the noun for which the pronoun stands. Okay, so that is the antecedent. So for example, if you were to say something like, this would not be using a relative pronoun, but if you were to say, Marcus went to the forum, he bought a loaf of bread. Okay, so you got two sentences there. You notice he is standing in for Marcus. Okay, that's because Marcus is the antecedent. All right, it's the noun that he is referring back to. All right. Now you could say something like Marcus, who bought a loaf of bread, went to the forum, or something like that. In that instance, there you have the relative pronoun. All right, Marcus is still, of course, the antecedent. All right. Now, relative pronouns can be translated who, which, and that, as we mentioned before. And someone had a good question, and this is kind of just a rule of thumb, like on how to know whether you're using who, which, or that. This isn't always the case, but generally speaking, you will use who or whom, forms of that, if you are referring to a person, okay? You will use which if you are referring to a thing, okay? And then you can use that for either people or things. Okay, again, that's not always going to be, it's not like it's not like a rule or anything, but that's just kind of a general practice, okay? Also, please make sure that you know that the word who is only for nominative usage, okay? You need to use whom or something along those lines for anything not nominative, okay? We're kind of lazy with that in our common English speech, okay? But I'm a bit of a stickler about that, so make sure who is only for nominative usage, all right? All right, now we're going to look at our translation today, and this is a little bit of a peculiar one. It does trace back to the, have something to do with the Trojan War, although not right away, okay? And this involves a transformation, okay? And the title of the story, the Myrmidons, or the Ant People, okay? And the Myrmidons were ended up being a group of people that were led by Achilles in the Trojan War, and they were known for being exceptionally good fighters and everything. Okay, and this is kind of a backstory on where these people came from. Okay? So our little interlude there, thanks to a miraculous metamorphosis, the population of Aegina is restored. Okay? And what I'd like for you to do with this translation, which is there's a picture of it on LMS. I'd like for you to translate lines 1 through line 7, the word delawit. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video and translate those lines. All right, let's take a look at what you got here. So we start off, always remember, look for your verb first. Regebat's our verb, meaning ruled, he was ruling. Iacchus is our subject, it's a fun name. So Iacchus once was ruling Aegina. Okay, and Aegina is a Greek island. Let me tell you over on the side. All right, so Iacchus once was ruling Aegina, which had taken its name from the name of Iacchus's mother. Okay, so the island that he was the king over was named after his mom. All right, and we keep going. This is a bit of a longer sentence. With whom Jupiter had joined himself in love. Okay, so let's take a look at a couple of things going on here. You'll notice we have two relative pronouns. The first one, quai, all right, is referring back to Aeginam. Okay, so that's the antecedent. And the antecedent is going to tell you the number and gender of the relative pronoun. So Aeginam is feminine and singular, so quai is feminine and singular. But quai is the subject of your clause, so that is why it is nominative. So which had taken its name. Okay, caperat there is the pluperfect. Okay, and then we've got the mother of Iacchus. She is in the genitive case, showing possession. All right, and then you got quacum, or quackum if you prefer, with whom Jupiter had joined himself in love. So had joined, again, pluperfect. Se is a reflexive pronoun referring back to Jupiter. He had joined himself in love. And quacum, this is an interesting one. You notice qua, the antecedent for qua is the mother, okay? And you can tell it's not Iacchus because qua is feminine. Iacchus is not feminine, okay? So it's referring back to the mother. Now it's ablative because here you've got, it's an ablative of accompaniment with whom Jupiter had joined himself in love. Okay, so that is qua. So you can see that pronouns are going to have case, number, gender just like nouns, and they're going to have function just like nouns. Okay, so some good thing to keep in mind. All right, next sentence. Juno, who had never been able to tolerate the evil habits or the evil customs of Jupiter, sensed this deed and held it in memory. Okay, or you could also say remembered it. I like held it in memory just because it's more literal. Okay, again, we have the relative pronoun quai referring back to Juno. Potuerat, again, is pluperfect. And then your other two verbs, sensit and tenuit, are both perfect because third principal part with ESD it. All right. Let's see here. All right, next sentence. After many years, she sent death to all who were living on the island Aegina. Okay? Now this one is a little tricky, and it's important to know where a relative clause starts and ends, okay? And one thing that can be helpful sometimes is putting brackets in your sentence around the relative clause. So the relative clause here is quai to the word vivebant, okay? So it's usually right around where the pronoun is to the verb. And that is your relative clause. So the main part of the sentence is after many years, she sent death to all. All right? So a couple things. Omnibus is going to be dative. All right? It's your indirect objects. So your direct object is death, mortem, and then omnibus is your indirect object. Okay? So it's important here, you translate basically everything outside of the relative clause first, and then you get your relative clause. Okay? Now, she didn't send death to every person ever in the world. Okay? That's why this relative clause is important. It tells you more about the all that it's referring to. So she sent death to all who were living on the island Aegina. All right? So not exactly a very nice thing to send people, but you know, Juno can have some anger problems sometimes. All right, and then our last sentence for today. O Father Jupiter, or if you prefer, Big Daddy Jupe would also be acceptable in this particular instance. Iacchus called, Juno has destroyed my entire people or my entire population. Okay? So Father Jupiter is your vocative. Okay, he's for direct address. And then Juno has destroyed my entire population or my entire people. Okay? Your verbs there, vocavit and delewit, both of them are perfect. Okay? And that is where we will stop for today. Okay. Make sure that you guys are staying up on those relatives, and make sure that you are studying your vocab. We're going to have a vocab quiz on Thursday. So make sure that you are ready. It'll be same sort of thing as last go around. So I'll have the word, I'll tell you how many blanks, and then you write in the remaining forms and the definition. Okay, just like all your other vocab quizzes. Again, just it'll be online. So, love you guys. Hope you guys are doing well, and I'll talk to you later.